I graduated college in 1 year, saved $84,000 in student debt. My story got a lot of attention on YouTube and LinkedIn, and have been requested by many to do a more detailed video into how I did this.
Listen again.
In 2019, I graduated high school and soon after entered my freshman year of college as a senior, completing my undergraduate degree in record time, class of 2020. But let's examine how all of this started. Well, college is expensive, and coming from a non-affluent family, I knew that pursuing higher education was going to be a burden. And as college tuition rose at a rapid pace, a concern dwelled in the back of my mind. Was college even going to be an option for me?
College in America. It's 4 years of all-nighters, cake stands, and crushing student debt.
I have $69,812.
$47,000.
$90,000.
$35,000.
$350,000.
$60,000.
I have student loans over $1 billion.
You're kidding me. What were you thinking?
Well, I wasn't thinking, clearly.
Student debt is no joke, and you do not want to be paying off debt for the next 20, 30 years of your life after you get a degree of any sort.
With all this information, I was beyond frightened about even thinking about getting a college degree. At the end of high school freshman year, I learned that you can earn college credits in high school, and this epiphany led me down the road of asking myself this question: how fast could I finish college? Over summer break, I invested time to create a plan that maximized college credits earned while in high school. And after finalizing my plan, I realized, wait, I could graduate college in 1 year after getting all the credits I needed for my degree program. And I also want to just make this clear, this path isn't the traditional college path. It makes no sense to most people because I'm teaching you how to break the system. And so with that being said, it's not just the problems with higher education, it's also I am a product because of everything that's going wrong in our current system. So there are a variety of different ways in which you can earn college credits, but in this video, I'm going to touch on 4 methods I used. 2 of these are administered by the College Board, AP and CLEP, and DSST is its own set of exams. Then if you're still a student in high school, there's dual enrollment and PSEO. So after learning about AP exams, I went into the rabbit hole of discovering other programs, including the college level examination program, which is often referred to as CLEP, and DSST, which is Get College Credits. And I learned that you can self-study these exams. Essentially, you don't even need to take the class. There's no need to take the class. You just do the exam, and if you pass it, you get the credits. And this was huge, and you might be wondering why that is. Well, from my perspective, most classes were a waste of time. If you've ever sat in a classroom, you understand how it's incredibly inefficient.
We educate children by batches and govern their lives by ringing bells. All day long, students do nothing but follow instructions. Sit down. Turn to page 40. Solve problem number 3.
Repeat after me. Akaka, dabica, akakaka.
Akaka, dabica, akakaka.
Number 2. Dakaka, a dada, batacat.
Dakaka, a dada, batacat.
If you sit kids down hour after hour doing low-grade clerical work, don't be surprised if they start to fidget.
In a way, I was quite rebellious. I didn't like how I was taught, and so I said, screw it. And so self-studying for an exam is oftentimes more efficient, and it's not as hard as people make it out to be. You learn the material at your own pace, plus you eliminate all the time spent in class on homework, quizzes, papers, tests, group projects, Shall I go on? Realistically, if you can focus on the important items, you get the concepts in a fraction of a time. You might be wondering what I mean by this. I realize that I can learn faster without the need of a traditional classroom. So typically teachers will fill their classes up with excessive amounts of stuff, meaning it takes everyone 12 to 14 weeks or 3 months for a class, which it took 2 to 3 weeks for me. Another way to think about this is the Pareto principle. When you implement the Pareto principle, the 80-20 rule, 20% of the material count for 80% of exams. Learn the overarching concepts that tie into everything else. It's very overgeneralized what I said, but I'm sure you can grasp it. Because I did this, I freed up considerable time in high school. The college level credits I was earning allowed me to satisfy high school requirements, allowing me to not have to be in class, and in turn freeing up my schedule. And so with this freedom, I pursued many extracurricular activities while in high school, serving as president of 4 different student organizations. You get more time to use for other activities, and I didn't have to follow the dreadful high school schedule of one class after another. I got to do what was optimal for me. And this also taught me an important lesson in life that if you don't create your own goals, it will be assigned to you by society, your peers, your company, your parents, whatever those might be.
The reason I was able to free up so much time was because I just had a different schedule compared to everyone else.
So where am I going with this? I have a dream where schools and students are exhilarated to learn, where there is engagement, curiosity, creativity, rather than conformity, standardization, and people left behind. Insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results.
Our schools haven't changed much for hundreds of years. The current system of education was designed in the industrial age mainly to churn out factory workers. And this industrial age mentality of mass production and mass control still runs deep in schools.
We have very antiquated methods of teaching. It's tough for teachers to meet all the needs of students, and I can't really blame them. Some students grasp things very quickly while others need extra time. And expecting everyone to be funneled through the same path is very unrealistic. And what are the results? Many are left behind.
And one of my favorite things about these programs that they all have in common is that it actually hands so much power to the students, because high schools can't force a curriculum on you with these things. High schools, you can choose whether or not to do PSEO, and the high school has no say over that.
It's also time I introduced Zeke. He's the executive director of People for PSEO, a nonprofit organization spreading awareness about free college in high school. And more on that in a moment. And if you're a student, let me ask you this question. You're already watching YouTube videos, using ChatGPT, I suppose, to study and figure out some assignments. Why wouldn't you just do the same thing, but on your own, without the need of an authority figure telling you what to do? And so this now brings me to the next thing, dissecting a 4-year degree. Many colleges have generals or liberal arts requirements that every student has to go through. And so I'd say the first half of your degree, so your freshman and sophomore year, is literally doing that you are not even specializing in. Your junior and senior year is like taking classes and credits that actually go through with like what you need to learn. If you don't know where to start, just start with all the classes that you know every university and college is going to require, so you get them out of the way. And so you can focus on the credits that's focused on your degree. And after your generals, and depending on the path you go, you can knock out additional credits with PSEO and self-study for your junior year, allowing you to graduate up to another year early, like my own path.
Don't overlook community colleges and earn as many college credits as possible before you graduate from high school, whether it's PSEO, advanced placement, or really any other program.
So each university has their own criteria and processes for accepting college credits. Some universities have limits on the number of college credits you can come in with. Some universities require a certain number of credits to be taken on campus, for example, 30 or more. I had a friend in college at the time who showed me this website. It's called Transferable, essentially verifying if your college courses you've taken can transfer from one college to another. It can match the school or the program. The worst thing you can do is take a class or an exam and it doesn't count towards anything. Each class that doesn't transfer is the equivalent of spending $2,000 to $5,000 of your own money and lost time. I've met many students who did an exam or class then later realized they never needed it and it doesn't transfer. It's not a good feeling to have. And also something to watch out for, a user said that they appealed to dual enrollment classes that their university didn't accept. Meaning, if your class didn't transfer, you can petition or appeal to your university requesting them that you have proficiency over a subject, that you should be exempt from taking the class. In Minnesota, we have free college while in high school. And so it's called post-secondary enrollment option or the dual enrollment. And it's essentially free college while you're in high school. And other states have similar programs for students.
There are 3 states, Illinois, Indiana, and Iowa, where high school students make up 40% of all community college enrollment statewide.
40%?
40%. The number of dual enrollment students, as you said, has doubled over the past decade. 80% of that 40% though, and this is generally true across the nation, about 80% of that is taking place inside the high school rather than a PSEO type program where they're going onto the college campus. So almost all states have like a concurrent enrollment, college in the schools type of program. And then as far as I can tell, somewhere between a third and half of the states actually have a PSEO type program where the student is going into the college campus.
A huge disclaimer is high schools dislike PSEO and dual enrollment because they lose portions of funding when you leave the high school to do college early. I hear countless stories from counselors swaying students away from the program because, yes, they do lose funding. It's not in their best interest to lose you. I understand why that is, but for you as a student, what is the better decision for you? So remember your best interest at heart, not your high school's best interest at heart.
The BPAT is part of the federal government's No Child Left Alone Act.
Your scores on this test will determine how much money this suck shack gets for years to come.
There are strong financial pressures to keep our school systems the way that they are. If a student enrolls in the college classes, the money follows the student from the high school to the post-secondary institution. That results in a lot of high schools feeling this funding tension, and so that results in a lot of schools not really advertising the PSEO program or putting policies in place to discourage participation in PSEO.
I also wanted to let you guys know that I wrote a free ebook on graduating college in 1 year. It has over 1,000 downloads and has already helped countless students in their own journey. Even more exciting, I'll be releasing a project I've been working on to go detailed into supporting you to graduate faster in the Fast Grad Academy, helping you save thousands of dollars and time when you follow my modules through. I make it super easy to follow along, and I alleviate the pain of needing to navigate through the scattered information online, for whether you're in high school, college, or it's been years since you've been back in school.
Yeah! They get it done in 2 years, not 4! Ah!
There are deep dives and catalogs of information for each exam. Additionally, I help you answer your most prevalent questions. Which college do I select? How do I navigate this path? Am I doing this right? How do I save even more time? And being on Zoom calls with many of you already, I know the problems and struggles and questions you're going to ask, especially parents also wondering how to navigate this path. I've linked the waitlist in the description below, and it will be released in July. This is my movement to disrupt the school system, and I hope that you can be a part of it.
It's actually cheaper to send a student to do PSEO at a community college than it is for the student to be at their high school, at least here in Minnesota. And because of that, the state actually saves money. That's the actual taxpayer savings there.
Wow. Wait, can you put that into perspective? How does the state save more money by having more students going to PSEO?
Let's say the state pays a high school $10,000 for a student for a school year. However, if the student was a full-time community college student here in Minnesota, that might only be $7,000. Now, the state formula says that, the high school keeps 12% no matter what. So if it's in this situation, a high school would be keeping about $1,200. Let's say $7,000 goes to the community college, and then there's a leftover amount there, and that's just kept by the state of Minnesota. The reality is that most students are just taking 1 or 2 classes through the PSEO program, and then doing that in combination with International Baccalaureate or Advanced Placement or Concurrent Enrollment or CLEP and all of these different options that are available to students.
So I chose PSEO for anything I couldn't test out of, and I'll explain in a second why. But let me first explain the exams before I do that. With AP exams, they are for high school students. PSEO is also for high school students, and CLEP and DSST are at any age. AP is tested at the end of the school year, and CLEP and DSST are at any time you are ready, and PSEO varies by state. AP exams are typically held at the school that does the advanced placement, or they have an advanced placement program. CLEP and DSST is at any testing center, and PSEO is just on campus or in the high school if it's a dual enrollment program. So what scores do you need? For AP, it's at least a 3 or higher. With CLEP exams, it's 50 or more, and with DSST, it's typically over 400. And then PSEO is just taking the class. On the difficulty side, AP is typically harder, and CLEP and DSST are, in my experience, easier. Also, with CLEP exams, I got a voucher to do most of my CLEP exams through Modern States, meaning I didn't have to pay for the costs of the exam. And make sure to save your receipt, and they'll pay you back for any expenses related to the test center fee. And so there you go. I just shared how you can get your freshman year of college for free. And along with that, Modern States has free courses that covers a wide range of subjects and making all of this more accessible. So now that I've gone over all the building blocks, here was my plan. Plug in every exam and course that I could onto Transferology to identify the most optimal path. And some universities will accept more credits, some universities will accept less credits, but I chose the University of Minnesota because it fit very well into my plans. Then I sent all of my scores there and verified everything back and forth with the university, but everything penciled out. And so with PSEO, I took classes that AP, CLEP, and DSST couldn't satisfy, and I needed to take the class. And remember, classes are a longer commitment. If you do the exams, you can expedite the process. And make sure you set deadlines. In my last video where I talk about procrastination, watch it. It's good. Deadlines will push you through that finish line. Over summer break, I knew that I had to complete 2 to 3 exams in order to accomplish my goal, and maybe schedule a time with the testing center, and that testing date can be a motivation driver. That's exactly what I did for most of my exams. This may not be an optimal path. Additionally, like sports, full ride scholarships, and other reasons may deter you from going this route. One of my good friends, he got a full ride scholarship at his university, and he was a university athlete. It made all the sense for him to do all 4 years and to take advantage of everything that they offered. You also don't have to copy me. Get a few courses out of the way, save a semester of tuition, save a year or 2 years if you can. And in my mind, I was going for 3 years, and so that goal essentially motivated me to just go through with this, and results. And so additionally, I'm very cognizant of doing things thoughtfully. Wasting time is my biggest pet peeve, and I want to see my efforts compound. And so I entered my freshman year of college as a senior, and after a year in college, I was done with scholarships and a fully executed plan. I ended my undergrad with minimal expenses and amazing memories, and thereafter went to pursue graduate school and graduating at 21 with my master's degree. And so I want to end off with this. Make sure college is the right decision for you.
I think that it's so ingrained in your head that you have to go to college, that college is the next step after graduation. In hindsight, college is not for everyone.
Suddenly, degrees aren't worth anything. Isn't that true? Because you need an MA, where the previous job required a BA, and now you need a PhD for the other. It's a process of academic inflation, and it indicates the whole structure of education is shifting beneath our feet.
I think that there's just society is going to look so different years from now. And we do have an outdated education system. It's time to modernize. And I think that a lot of folks in Generation Z are going to be leading that change, because we know that it's not really that helpful for the real world in the 21st century.
You and I are leading that change.
Yes.
Human life is inherently creative. It's why we all have different resumes. We create our lives, and we can recreate them as we go through them. It's the common currency of being a human being. It's why human culture is so interesting and diverse and dynamic.
Please share this video to tell the algorithm to push my face in front of more people so it helps them out, helps me out, and it helps you out. All right. Love you guys, and let's shake some things up.